Hello, and welcome to Unfudge Your Marketing. This is a show where I chat with business owners and leaders about marketing mistakes, mishaps, and things that just didn't go quite as planned on marketing. Most importantly, we share their lessons learned with you. I am your host. I'm Christy Mitchell. I'm a marketing strategist, and I love working with mission driven, client centered service providers who have built their businesses on referrals and word of mouth. And they know in order to grow for the future and have a bigger impact, they need to finally think more strategically about their marketing. Today, I am super excited to welcome a fellow marketing expert to the show. Renee Froyo is a brand strategist, storytelling coach, and former journalist who helps founders and solo business owners build reputations people trust. Her specialty is turning raw personal experiences into powerful brand narratives. By day, she builds story driven brands. By night, she wrangles two kids as a single mom and dreams up her next trip. So happy to have you today, Renee.
I am so happy to be here with you and seeing your lovely face once again. It's been a minute.
I know it has been a while. We booked this like way long ago, we were talking about.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited for this conversation today. I always like to kick things off, let people know how we heard about each other in case there's a person to give a shout out to. But in this case, it's LinkedIn. LinkedIn gets a shout out for somehow getting us in each other's feeds and connecting us.
Yes, LinkedIn has been an amazing connector for me. I've just met
Yes.
with some of the most incredible and inspiring, insightful people on that platform. I think if you just
Yes.
know where to look and how to present yourself on there, you end up attracting like-minded people.
Yes, for sure. And I definitely recommend anyone listening to the show to go follow Renee now on LinkedIn if you're not already, because you are absolutely one of my favorite content creators
Oh,
there.
thank
So
you. Thank you.
always love seeing you in my feed. You're like, your personality just like oozes through your content, which I love. I have such an appreciation for that.
I appreciate you saying that.
Of course. So, the conversation we're going to have today, I am excited for. You had mentioned an experience that you had in the past when you hired somebody to do social media for you.
Mm,
I don't want to give away any of the juicy details. It didn't go well.
mm.
Spoiler alert. If anyone listen, if you're a repeat listener to the show, you know that this is how it goes. Something didn't go well. So I'll kick it over to you. Kind of where do you want to start the conversation? What point were you at in your business where you're like, okay, I need to hire someone, and then what happens?
Yeah. Well, I had recently left journalism, gone to culinary school, and decided I was going to become a content creator in the form of a food blogger, food influencer. I saw all these people having massive success on Instagram. This is sort of before TikTok. And I was like, I could do that. I could use my, writing skills, my interviewing skills, and my now newfound cooking skills to have a successful food blog. So I fully dove in, and this was my first attempt at building my own online platform and personal brand. And I grew my audience really quickly. I kind of figured it out. I taught myself food photography and then subsequently video,
That
and
sounds so fun.
it was really fun for a moment until I realized so much of that world was just it was a little too intrusive into my personal life. Like you really had to
Mm,
put so much of yourself out there and kind of project this image. And that's another story for another day. But what happened in this particular snafu was I was growing, but part of growing on any social media platform is engagement. Right, is like
mhm.
really doing this outbound engagement, is making yourself visible in other people's comments in the feed, and especially now on LinkedIn and different platforms, it's still very much the case. And
Mhm.
um, but I hated it. I hated it on Instagram because it felt very. It just felt like a rote marketing task that needed to be done, right?
Yes.
And I was like, anybody could do this. Like this is like monkey work that someone just needs to be like, that looks delicious, right? Or whatever it was for
Yes.
my food blog. So I decided to outsource that, and I found somebody on Fiverr that could, I hired for like, an insignificant amount of hours or dollars for a certain amount of hours to just do that, to do those actions to grow my account. And
Mhm.
um it was going all right, so there was definitely, like, some weird English sometimes and some typos, and I was starting to feel like, a little icky about it too because it
Yeah.
felt and was disingenuous. And then one day, she commented something like, "Oh, like, that's so awesome, like, thank you for sharing this amazing story," or something like this on a very somber post about someone's mother who had just passed away and how they were grieving it. And I got such a terrible response, not only from the creator of that post, but everybody who saw this, like, really,
Ugh.
clearly distasteful comment on it, and I realized that, I was really on track to ruin my brand reputation by doing this, and
Mm,
let her go and decided this work of engagement, of, like, truly building an audience of collaborators and a community of followers and, eventually clients, like, you need to do the work, right?
yes.
It really needs to be genuine.
Yep.
And now I feel like, very, I don't know that a lot of people are going to Fiverr to find, people in the Philippines to do this work for them, but they are paying $50 a month for an AI tool to do it for them. And and it's
Yeah.
having the same effect, right? They're
Yes.
damaging the brand reputation. They're really doing more damage than good. Um, and everyone can see right through it. And
Yes.
it feels icky and it's off-putting, and, there's just no upside to it. So it's a
Yeah.
practice I think that has become increasingly common in the past couple of years, and it's
Yes.
one of the biggest marketing mistakes that I see, people currently, engaging in and paying for. It's just
Yes.
engagement is not really something you should outsource, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
there is, like, the argument of, like, paying for a ghostwriter to do some of this work, but at least in that situation, in theory, hopefully they're intimately getting to know you, they're intimately getting to know your story, this is
Mhm.
co-created, um,
Yes.
and then maybe, there's a little bit more there. Um,
Right.
so, uh,
Yeah.
I'd
So
love to hear
there's
on it.
Yeah, there are a few things I wanna pull out from this. So one of them is, just this fact of you talking about, like, outsourcing. Like, if you were paying someone to do this thing, which I think a lot of people can resonate with, I'm sure that sounds familiar. I was paying someone to do this, and just like you said, especially now with AI and increasing in popularity and more platforms popping up all over the place to, like, integrate, to use AI to do auto-generated comments and all those things, like, that is something that we as business owners need to be aware of, is that the right investment for us? And what are, and I really want to hone in on this point, Renee, because I almost want to, like, put my own foot in my mouth. A lot of times I tell, when I'm, like, presenting to business owners, I say, like, doing something in marketing is better than doing nothing at all. But this
Mhm.
is one of those instances where you are, just like you said, like, you are doing more damage than you are good. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that point, is like, okay, if I can't pay someone else to do it because I don't want to outsource that and run the risk of ruining my reputation, but I don't have the bandwidth, like, how do you as a business owner weigh that? Like, is it worth the risk, or do I just not do it?
I say just take it and do what you can, right? So, I mean,
Mhm.
who doesn't have 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes 3 days a week to go and engage on 5 of your relevant connections or potential prospects' posts? Like, can you
Yep.
take 10 minutes a day? Because that's literally all you need really, to start.
Yeah.
And so it's like a bare minimum, but one that could be done. And it's not just like the genuine, like the authenticity around it. It's the way that I look at engagement now is I'm actually doing a lot of market research. It's like my learning and
Mm,
education hour. Right.
mm,
So if you're engaging with the right kind of people, you can use any platform as a place to learn something new, to shift your perspective on something, and to get a pulse on what conversations are happening in your industry, right? Or in your space. So without
Yes.
doing that engagement work, without outsourcing that, you're missing opportunity for
Yes.
insights, for just being able to just get a vibe check on what's happening,
Right.
formulate your own opinions and thoughts that
Yep.
make you a thought leader, right? Really can't just be commenting on an industry, or like relying on what you know and your past experiences without being actively engaged in what's happening now. So I
Mhm.
would say just like shift your perspective on it, right? It's not
Yes.
just engagement for the sake of engagement to grow a hollow following that's not going to do anything for you, you know.
Yes.
I have now, what, 13,000 followers or something, but if I gained all those people from AI comment bots and just like connecting with anybody who had a pulse, that's false social proof. It doesn't do anything for me, Maybe I
Right.
trick someone into thinking, "Oh, I have influence with this number of people following me," but that's not the goal or the game for
Right.
most of us in this industry. So,
Right.
just
Yes.
there's some
So
marketing tasks you should outsource, and there's some you shouldn't. This is one of them, for all
yes.
those reasons.
Yes. I love your point. So that is always the approach that I take with my clients in terms of like what's realistic for you. Like you were saying, like
Mhm.
if you're just starting out, okay, maybe 10 minutes a day for 3 days a week. Like start with what feels realistic. And I think a lot of times we make excuses and say we don't have time, but if you're saying you don't have time, it really just means you're not prioritizing it
Yeah.
really at the end of the day. So there's a little kick for those listening who need that. But I really love your point too about your perspective on it. Just like you said, when you were doing it on Instagram and you were outsourcing it, you're like, it's just a task. Like it's just a thing on the list that needs to get done. And so you outsourced it because that felt like the easier thing to do. And now you've realized that it's not a task, it's an opportunity for all these things you just said to meaningfully engage, to expand your audience, to keep a pulse on what's going on, what people are talking about. Like all of those things. And so, really shifting your perspective, whether it's on social media engagement or really any marketing tactic out there, I think your perspective and how you approach it is so incredibly key to the results that you will get.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
Because if you go into it like, I just need to check the box, I just need to do the thing,
Yeah.
your passion and your excitement is not going to come through whatever it is that you're creating and putting out into the world. And then it's not going to resonate. And then you're not going to get results. This is
Yeah.
what I tell my clients all the time.
That's it. That's it. So if you're not getting results, yeah, check what activities you might not be doing to, I guess, the extent and like with the integrity that they need to be done, and maybe make some
Yeah.
adjustments.
Yes. And that's one thing, like I say it jokingly a lot to people, but I'm guessing you probably have a similar approach to the clients you work with is like, I want to make you love marketing. Like that's really my goal is to make you love it and not dread it.
100%. Yes. See, this is why we're friends.
Yeah.
Uh, I say the same thing. And this is why I've sort of focused and honed in on storytelling, because it 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 makes you really enjoy the process.
Mhm.
Really tapping into your day to day, your experiences, what you're noticing, your participation in the industry, your experience with your clients, and then converting that into marketing materials is like such an enjoyable thing to do, because it helps make meaning of your life and your experiences too. It helps you stitch all these things together and feel very connected to the work, and that is such a valuable thing just for for the sustainability of your business. Like how if you hate doing this, you're not going to do it. Like, a lot of people hate sales and prospecting. Like most of us hate doing the prospecting thing, right? It's just like anything else. It's kind of like shifting your perspective and experience on it. So now I see like any call I get or any prospecting call is just an opportunity to like learn something from somebody else and maybe get a little
Mhm.
insight into what they're struggling with that I can then either help with through my content marketing, like if it doesn't turn into a client, like there's so much that I get. There's so much richness out of just having those calls. So now my sales
Yeah.
calls, I turn them on their head and now I actually like enjoy them. Like I really look forward to
Yeah.
them. Prospecting kind of similar, reaching out to make connections with people, but really to build a relationship, to learn, to understand. And then maybe it turns into something or it doesn't. So it's just kind of a different way of approaching it and looking at it. But I'm with you. It's
Yeah.
all it makes your business so much more fun when you
It
can
does.
process
It
and all.
does. And the thing is, as much as I can, as much as people see my content, and same with you, right? You're a marketer. So it's easy for other people to look at you and be like, well, your content's good because you're a marketer.
Mhm.
We have honed these skills of storytelling and seeing things in our everyday life that we can relate back to the work that we do, but we're not unique. Like I believe that anyone can do that. And
Absolutely.
I just worked with a salon owner, which is like not a typical client for me at all, but
Mm,
she was referred by another service provider that I had worked with. And I was like, well, this is kind of different. But she's
mm,
like all about supporting the LGBTQIA community, like certified
mm.
safe space. Like her salon is very unique. And there's like this art component where makers come in and sell their art. Like it's just
Cool.
very, it was a really cool business. I was so excited to work with her. And we just finished up working together and she was like so excited to show me the content she was creating and posting on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And she was like, she took a moment to like stop and be like, "Oh my God, remember when we first started working together?" Like she was like, I hated it. I was like, I want my stylists to be creating all the content. I don't want to do it, but like through that process,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't work magic, but somehow I got her to like buy into the idea that like, well, you kind of need to lead by example. If you want them to create content, you need to be creating content. And
Mm.
we talked through what that could look like and how to do it in a way that feels good, that you're excited to do. And now here she is like crushing it on her social channels in this super authentic way.
Well, that is what makes it authentic. Yeah, if you're like this is a necessary evil and a forcing function, you'll never reach that level of authenticity, honesty, like genuine energy that it takes to to create
Yes.
that resonates 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
The energy thing, I wanted to bring that up. So I had a past guest share a somewhat similar story, but different in a lot of ways. But she had said what she realized was she couldn't outsource her energy. It was like
Mm,
those pieces of her marketing that really required energy, she realized she had to own them.
yeah. Yeah, I wrote about this recently in one of my newsletters. There are 4 types of creative energy that we put into any of the work we do, and this is a framework that comes from, I'm blanking on his name now, but he's a therapist that wrote a book for therapists writing a book. Um, and the 4 energies are pissed, dissed, blessed, blissed. Okay. So if you're creating from piss
Mm.
energy, it's like you are channeling, things that you are irritated about, status quo that you're going against. And like actually that's the
Yeah.
majority of the like resonant content that we see that gets people all riled up on,
Mhm.
on social media platforms. A lot of it comes from that dist energy, and you're like, yeah, like F yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same. Dist energy is kind of similar. It's like you've been wronged, or you feel wronged by society, or like wronged by the government or culture, whatever is going on, or industry. You lost your job.
Mhm.
That's dist energy. Blessed is you've just like you've learned so much from these experiences or from this thing, and you just want to like share that and share those learnings, and that's what's attractive, and that's the energy that's coming through. And then blissed is you're just so like grateful, and you become like a platform of inspiration for other people, right? You're like,
Oh my gosh.
I have some like blissed energy content that has been really resonant about. I'm divorced and now have been in a new relationship for the past 5 years with a man who has 2 girls the same age as my 2 girls. So we have this little like modern family unit,
Aw.
and it's like I tell this story all the time because it's such a source of inspiration for people that like, you know, I mean, divorce is a horrible thing. I wouldn't like recommend it to anybody, but an ending and a loss is just an opportunity for a new, better, wonderful, beautiful beginning, and like
Right,
our
right.
friends, and it's like the happiest, healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And it's just, I like, anytime I share that story, I'm like, I'm blessed, people are like, I'm so
Yes.
inspired. So,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that it's like that mix of like, right? Because you probably don't want to just create the pissed content. It's
No,
just
because
like,
then that's your energy. That's you become that person, right? And if you
yes.
and that's what you become known for. And it all
Yeah.
serves a
Having a
purpose.
good
But
blend.
it needs to be a good, healthy mix. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So interesting. Okay. One last thing I want us to chat about before we have to wrap up here. So as we talk about, and I feel like it's a nice little segue here talking about like energy and don't outsource your energy. So what for people listening to this, what are things that you think are maybe better candidates to outsource than things like engagement for all of the amazing reasons that you talked about, how engagement is really helpful to us as business owners to keep a pulse on things and stay on top of it and do that ourselves. Where do you see kind of some of those things that are like, well, it makes more sense to own this, it makes more sense to outsource this? I know that's
I
kind
think,
of a big question,
yeah,
but
the way I'd answer that is get really clear on what your areas of strength are, what your areas of weakness, your areas of interest. Because even if it's not a strength, if it's an area of interest, you can learn and grow into it and have fun doing it, right?
yep.
But like for me, I love beautiful design, but I just can't do it. And I don't want to learn how to do it, and even though it's so easy now with like Canva and design tools, that's the first thing I outsource. So like small tasks like that, like if I have to design a carousel, I'm calling my Fiverr girl, like if I
Yeah.
have to design a landing page, like I'm calling somebody to do that. I'm doing the copy.
Yeah.
So it depends. And in terms of copy and writing and messaging, I think there's a lot that you can outsource there, like website, your website landing page or a landing page for an offer or product. Like if you don't feel very confident in your copywriting, absolutely hire an expert in that area, right? Um,
Yeah.
a strategist. I mean, for your business on all levels, I have friends who are pricing strategists. I have friends who are like product development strategist. Like all these people.
Mhm.
I don't need to be a mini expert in all of these things.
Yes.
Um, that those are the things that you should outsource. Anything that just
Yeah.
doesn't. I like to think about it like this. Would you outsource your coffee chat or like your call to somebody, depending on the level you're at, right? To somebody. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't. And that's all. So anything that requires like real relationship building, right? Like a
Yeah.
touch point with you, I'd say do that, right?
I
Like
love that.
your
Yes.
events, live events, web events, like obviously, and it's just anything you do online is an extension of that, right?
Yes.
It's relationship building at scale. So if that's part of it, then that's what you need to do. But anything
Yeah.
else, hire either a low level task executor,
Mhm.
or someone that's like pretty skilled in that thing that you need, right? Like
Right.
website
I love
positioning. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that answer that, like, if we think about it in terms of, like, the relationship building. I say this all the time, like, marketing is just about building relationships. People have all these negative feelings about marketing for all the reasons we talk about on this show. So many people have gotten burned and made mistakes and all of the things. That's why I have the show. That's why we talk about the stories. But, like, at the end of the day, marketing is building relationships. And so I love that that's what you brought it back to is like, if this is an activity that's building relationships, maybe I need to be the one owning it. If
Yes.
it's creating an image or writing the copy on a website that's really important, especially if it's on a sales page, right? You want that to be written in a very effective way. Like those are the things that might make more sense to get an expert involved in. So I love that answer. That's a really good one.
Thank you.
Sounds like a frame to put it on. All right, awesome. So as we get ready to wrap up here, Renee, I would love to hear from you any last pieces of advice or lessons learned that you want to share.
Tell your story. Tell your story. Tell your story. Tell your story some more. Meaning, deeply understand your audience and what matters to them. And start from a place of deeply understanding yourself and what matters to you and your values and your experiences. And then find a place where those two intersect. Find a story where you can use your experiences and lessons learned to help your ideal client or audience understand what's happening for them, right? Like articulate that
Yeah.
and give them a reason, to want to reach out. and ask for help or work with you, so
Yes.
I sure.
I love yes. I love that. I love that. And so many people need to hear that because so often, again, there's so many recurring themes on this show, but like the idea that we can just be in the background as business owners and just have like a face of our business that isn't necessarily us, like that doesn't work these days. Like people do business with people and you have to show yourself. You have to tell your story. You have to be intimately connected with the brand that you're building, whether it's a personal brand or your business brand. Like you really can't totally separate those because people want to know the who behind the name of the business. So
Mhm.
telling your stories as a business owner or whatever role you play in your business, being able to tell your stories or the business's stories, all those stories are really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
I agree.
Well, I am so thankful for this conversation that we had today. The time flies by. Very lastly, Renee, how can people learn more about you and the work that you're doing?
Mm. Well, definitely, give me a shout out on LinkedIn or send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with anybody there. And I have a newsletter, A Good Reputation. It's called A Good Reputation.online is where you find it. And through that newsletter, I do a story a week with a lesson on how to use short form storytelling to build your brand and authentic brand building. And I also have a community in the works where we actively work on your story content every single week and
Awesome.
develop your brand through that. So all of those
Love
things.
it. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the show and sharing your stories and your experiences and your insights as a marketing expert.